Oh, hello. Habari zeni. Mabibi na mabwana. I hope everyone is fine before lunch. So we're going to give you about a short session on literally one of the things we're doing. Tell you a bit about Hyperriver. Hyperriver was established mainly to do cybersecurity. We are not your normal system integrator because we don't do everything. We do very specific things, and those things we do to the maximum extent. Everything we do is based on local expertise, Kenyans, I should say, and I'm very proud of that. Our team is all Kenyan, and all our expertise is Kenyan, and everything we do is served from Kenya. Our biggest partner is Radware. If you heard of them, Radware is an Israeli company. You'll hear more as we go into the presentation. We have been involved in the security in East Africa for the last 15 years. About 15 years ago, we've installed the first DDoS solution for a bank, when everyone was still installing firewalls. We've seen the industry grow. We've seen the threats change, take different shapes. From protecting a port, now we're protecting AI-driven attacks. The tools have changed. Technology has changed dramatically in the last 15 years. For me, the biggest change, I think for all of us, the biggest change in technology, unfortunately, is this: phones. And phones have driven us to what I like to call the age of applications. I've seen guys before me talk about data, and how everything is driven by data. Yes, that's true, but everything is driven by applications. Data is there, and it's driven by applications. So when we talk about applications, if you look at your life today, you'll realize that any data interactions you do today, probably 80 to 90% of it is based on applications. You access that data through different applications. The question I will pose today is, are your applications safe? As an organization, not as a user, but as an organization, when you have any application of whatever sort, wherever it is, on-prem, cloud, wherever you're hosting it, is it safe? Is your business safe? And this is what we want to talk about today. One of the things that Radware specializes on is application protection. And that's what we are doing. So our team is on throughout the event. We also have a booth. We have also a representative of Radware, which I'm going to hand over to the pre-sale for Radware in East Africa, Felix. Karibu sana. And feel free to interact with us anytime. Thank you.
Securing your applications across today's complex web of mixed, unique environments and third-party dependencies is no easy task. Managing so many environments with disparate solutions and tools leads to security silos, blind spots, and high overheads. The array of threats to guard against is vast and rapidly growing, driven by aggressive zero-day attacks made easier with open-source scripts and generative AI tools. Radware's 360 Cloud Application Protection solution provides a comprehensive, adaptive solution that addresses the complexities of the threats and simplifies your security strategy. Radware's one-stop solution provides a single platform with a web application firewall that goes beyond OWASP Top 10 to protect from known and unknown web application attacks. A bot manager to effectively detect and mitigate sophisticated human-like bot attacks. API protection with auto-discovery to protect from abuse across all your APIs. Client-side protection to defend against client-side and supply chain attacks, such as form jacking and DOM cross-site scripting. And web DDoS protection to accurately mitigate disruptive web DDoS tsunami attacks. As the attacks morph, Radware's patented machine learning algorithms continuously learn and automatically adapt the protection to surgically block any threat. The solution provides unified visibility and protection with unique deployment options to secure your applications regardless of where they're hosted. And our experienced emergency response team is available 24/7 before, during, and after your organization faces a threat. Dedicated to protecting your applications, Radware helps you stay ahead with intelligent security, consistent protections, and expert defense.
Okay. Afternoon. I hope you can all hear me. I think after the age of COVID and we all had to do Teams, I always start my sentences with, "Can you hear me?" I'd like Amir for his presentation. And I think it's very telling, and I'm pleased that I'm speaking after the guy that spoke about edge computing, because I was looking at all those nodes all around the world and thinking to myself, maybe an attacker can use this as well, right? So our applications are changing, not just for us, but for whoever wants to attack us. So the evolution of the old applications, which were commonly called monolithic applications, single entry point, the browser is just only serving you content in the old applications. And more often than not, the most fancy thing you could do with that is just separate it to 3 tiers. You have an application tier, web tier, database tier. That is probably the best you could do with these applications. So there was only a single entry point for every application. Everybody was nice and comfortable, it was working. And then the modern applications came, and we wanted to do distributed code. Guys are doing Kubernetes environments. You are doing containerization. And on top of that, you have a multi-cloud architecture. You are still you're still keeping your on-premise architecture. You still want to use AWS. You still want to run serverless architecture on GCP, for example, and Azure. And then a lot of third-party plugins. So browsers previously were just serving content, just rendering content. Now we have browsers actively running scripts and composing content. So what that means then is that we have multiple entry points and way more complicated architecture for the applications. The applications are way more complicated now than they were then. Of course, at the end of the day, the user benefits, but it poses risks for us as well and for the users. So because of this, all applications are moving, or attacks, are moving to the application layer. So 68% of organizations say they're having API attacks every month. And there is 61% increase in bot traffic. That is when you compare for H1, and that's H1 2022, 2023, 2024. There is a 61% increase in bot traffic. Remember, 50% of the traffic on the internet now is done by bots. And I'm sure if such a research is done after a year from now, it will probably be higher because of AI. AI is producing a lot of content on the internet now, and it's taking advantage of bots. So it's up to us now to separate who the good bots are, who the bad ones are, and how can we prevent the bad ones. And 171% increase in malicious web traffic. And the main driver for this is that attackers are getting stronger. For example, what we have now, as I'm sure a lot of us have heard about, zero-day attacks, for example. So zero-day attacks are usually a vulnerability that was discovered way long, but some attacker has been able to weaponize it. So the problem with AI nowadays is that it's able to weaponize zero-day vulnerabilities on the go. So this now becomes quite a difficult thing to deal with, because no sooner have you learned about the vulnerability than it is already being attacked. So this is a significant increase. And right now, you get, in the past, people used to measure DDoS attacks by gigabits per second. But right now, it's being measured by how many requests per second, or how many millions requests per second. So the biggest DDoS attack that has ever been seen in the world, I don't know if any of us knows, was 4 terabytes per second. 4 terabytes to one organization at a go. Nowadays, it's usually measured in requests per second. So just when the Olympics was starting, because attackers' motivations are changing, there was an attack of 14.7 million requests per second to a bank that we protect, right? So I think the stark difference in the messaging of this is that in the past, when people could say an attack is being measured by GBPS, nowadays it's actual requests per second. So think about it. Are you able to accurately defend yourself against 14.7 million requests per second? 14.7 million requests per second. Do that times 60 for the minute and times another 60 for the hour. Are you able to actually sustain such a number of requests per second? So we need a new strategy to secure ourselves. So there is more apps to secure, many more hosting environments. There is many points of access to the applications and several attack vectors, very many attack vectors. So we are faced with new challenges. So I just wanted to go through 3 modern application security use cases that can probably either get us more excited on the topic or just go back and do it. So the first one is we need to grow beyond on-premise protection. So however much you can do on the on-premise, you need a dedicated data center, for example. You need very knowledgeable security guys who knows, maybe someone might outprice you and pay them better tomorrow, right? And take them away. In terms of being comprehensive use cases, we need to think beyond on-premise. We need to think beyond, I'm doing a data center in Thika and I'm doing another one in Athi River and I'm doing another one in Nairobi. We need to go beyond this because there is always a limit to how much you can do on-premise. So after thinking beyond the on-premise, we need to start now thinking, how can we do multi-cloud protection? I've said on-premise is not enough. I'm moving to the cloud. How then can I have a consistent protection across all these clouds? Because up to now, I don't think there is one platform or one standardization for AWS and GCP to protect their clouds the same way. There is none. So how can you, as someone that has your application on those clouds, consistently protect your applications? Not say that I am more secure on-premise, but I'm less secure on AWS, for example. So let's have consistent protections across every cloud. We need to have a solution for that. And then we need to stop relying on third parties to secure applications. So the original point about we have browsers previously that were just rendering content, and right now browsers are also actively composing content. So some of the third parties, I'll just take an example of Google Analytics, for example. If you are an e-commerce site and you want to take user analytics on how many people went to your checkout page, how many of them actually purchased the stuff, you need a third party to help you check that analytics. The problem is that the integration with such Google Analytics goes straight to the browser. It does not go to your server as the application owner or as the application provider. So this provides a blind spot for many organizations, because if you're going to do the traditional WAF, traditional DDoS, you will not be able to see traffic that is coming from Google Analytics, for example. Or in some pages where you see there is a button for share to Instagram or share to Facebook. Such buttons, to be honest, have no visibility with the application. The application owner will not see any of the traffic going to Facebook. This is being provided by a third party. So as the application owner, because at the end of the day, in security, I think one of the first things I learned when learning about cybersecurity is don't trust, verify. The first thing you have to do is verify, then trust. So start getting visibility to these third parties. What are they doing with your clients? Because at the end of the day, if a customer is going to access your application, and in the process of accessing your application, a malicious code runs on their browser and steals their data, at the end of the day, I think the buck will stop with the application owner, because you expose the client to such an environment where you don't have a trusted third party to actually help out with that. So with these 3, think beyond on-premise protection. Of course, there are reasons why the on-premise protection isn't really enough. You can't really scale on-premise, and you cannot effectively do AI with your on-premise decisions. I've had a lot of talk on AI. And a lot of that now goes to, can you be able to use cloud? Can you use service as a cloud? Can you use edge computing? It is pretty hard to do it yourself on-premise. Think about your multi-clouds and think about, how can I consistently keep protections across all clouds? Do I want to do it inline? Like before traffic goes to this cloud, I have to protect it? Or do I want to do it out of path? Like I want to inspect traffic, but I don't want to affect that particular path. So 55% of organizations, they run across more than 3 clouds, but 73% of them are still maintaining on-premise. I think there is still a comfort with knowing where your staff sits and which data center it is. So 73% of them still keeping on-premise. And 46% are still on-prem, private cloud, and public cloud, basically those 3 clouds. So the need for persistent and consistent protections across the 3 clouds. So this is, you can either do it inline or you can do it out of path. It depends. And both of them have their merits, demerits. we actually have a booth here, so we can have a further discussion on these two designs and which one is more convenient for what. And stop trusting third parties. Anyone that is going to pick data from your clients in order to help you and you do your conversion rate for customers from the cart to checkout and all that, don't fully trust them. Have visibility to that. And this is actually coming out with compliance. I think compliance is now starting to catch up. PCI DSS version 4 is going to have that you must have visibility to what your clients are browsing and if there is any scripts that have been altered. So it's going to come as a compliance for PCI DSS for anyone on e-commerce and trying to store credit card information and all that. So how do we stay ahead? New challenges are being introduced, so you need to be more intelligent. For example, for AIs being able to weaponize 0 days on the same day, you need to be intelligent. You need to do an active production of a security policy. Within 5-10 seconds, you should have a security policy that is able to protect against such kinds of attacks, because it is not something you know about. It's not something you can configure prior and prepare for it. You need to have an intelligent solution that is able to do a policy on the go, a real-time protection. And then you need to shift to cloud security. As I said, the biggest attack now we've seen is 14.7 requests per second. You cannot do it on premise. Then you need to protect consistently across all applications. And okay, stop trusting the third parties. I think I have repeated that several times. So this is probably my only sales slide today, right? For what we offer in terms of all the problems I've spoken about. We have supply chain attacks, account takeover, which is probably one of the oldest kind of brute force attacks, and guys having the account being taken over and someone else is now acting as you. And we do bot manager. We're able to separate the bots, the good ones, the bad ones, and then protect you against that. I didn't want to go before I speak about AI. So for you to have AI being functional for you, you need to define enforcement points. And this is from a security perspective. If you have these security policies, where are you going to enforce them? Are you going to do it on your firewall? Are you going to do it on your switch? Are you going to do it on your load balancer? Are you going to do it on your WAF? Have an enforcement point. Is it going to be on the perimeter? Is it going to be deep down your traffic? Is it going to be on the cloud, and where on the cloud? And then you need to correlate everything from all your engines. If you have an engine that is doing DNS security, you have another one that is doing bots, you have another one that is doing API security, another one that is doing web applications, all of them basically have to know what the other one is doing. So how you can get benefit from that AI is correlate across everything. And then to finish off is the SOC. Because out of all this happening, you need to have a SOC that is able to see all of it. And I think I heard the speaker from BUI say that SOC in the next few years is going to be machine. It's not going to be humans anymore. It's going to be an AI that is going to do SOC and do an attack story for you. It is going to show you what happened, when it happened, where it happened, and recommendations for solving, and even apply those recommendations. So thank you. I think I have maybe 21 seconds for questions or compliments. Thank you.